Are you ready, folks?
Yes.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Marvel Retrospective. I am the first Avenger.
I'm going to be the first podcaster, Dylan Musk. See, I actually thought about that beforehand.
I'm the Hale Taylor Field.
Okay.
I think,
What did you think he was?
I don't know. I thought he might
The
pull
Red Skull, Taylor
some
Field.
Last Jedi, like he could be the last podcast.
The Ryan Johnson.
But no, just went with, I'm Taylor, Hale Taylor. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't guessed by the title of this podcast or our nicknames, this is the Marvel Retrospective. We are watching every MCU film from Iron Man, the beginning, to Ant-Man. The other ones we've reviewed previously, so you can go find those. All in a build-up to Infinity War, which is coming out in May. We're in the new year now, so it's pretty... Well, they didn't tell me I feel this, but still, February, March, April, May... We're
Not far.
Very close.
You can almost smell it.
You can almost taste it as like chili.
It has the smell of chili for some reason.
I'm gonna shout this out just for the podcast listeners. If you do hear Taylor eat anything, I told him not to, but he is right off work, so he's very hungry.
We established a no eating during podcasts about a year and a half ago, but Taylor seems
Really?
now that he is all Hail Taylor Field, he feels that he has the power.
When was the last time someone ate on there? Probably about
there
a
was
year
some
and a half
really loud sushi, and then after that it was no bueno.
If it's commentary track, the only time we allow food is commentary tracks. It's like, oh, we're sitting for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. We're not doing anything. But no, it's not casual.
Like someone's eating like what do you call those sandwiches? Donair or something.
It has to be Donair specific.
Donairs are too messy.
Sure.
It's a big risk.
Anyways, because we're in February, I want to promote two things. I am 99.9% sure this will be coming out before. We have a Black Panther review coming out in February. Okay. So that's good. you make it okay, is that a movie? No, so we will be reviewing that. It's going to be a full-on spoilers review. I'm not sure if that'll be the night of or the Friday after, but either way, we'll have a review right after that. And then also this month, I do not know the date because we were filming this a little early. Head over to Patreon and get these episodes early. But this month, we have a huge title match. My voice cracked, but it's still huge, a big title match. Big. My Wolf Order brethren, Taylor Field, is going up against Tyler Breaks to try and get back his Geek First Gauntlet Championship. Are you excited? Are you ready? Are you ready to bring it home to the Order?
I am. At this point, it's all about revenge. You know, no more Mr. Nice Guy. I'm tired of all this bullshit. This is shit and then bullshit, okay? And, you know, I'm going to get my sweet, sweet revenge on Tyler, because that wasn't fair what he did. You know, I was trying to be a good sport about it, but he was being so rude and disrespectful.
You were very tired.
I was very tired too.
He just took advantage of you.
There's a way to be a good sportsmanship player, and then, you know, when you got noob tubes coming out and Gears, you're just being a troll in Gears. That's not fun, you know. Yeah. So. Yeah, Wolf
Order's gonna reign supreme. You remember? He doesn't remember our hand gesture. Yeah, it's like supposed to be like a W. It's supposed to be like a W.
It doesn't look anything like a
W.
No,
Taylor, you're supposed.
If I had to guess what that was, I would say, yeah.
What is this?
That's a W.
Do you like how before he was like, I'm going to go for the Assassin's Creed?
The W!
He's like, I don't know what the W was to.
Same thing, I've talked to him about this before, but you know.
You could teach
that's
it.
That's the W or the W.
You start with an Assassin's Creed logo, and then you just open it up.
We have two hand gestures. No, not that. We're not four.
This is a W.
No.
That's like the Blood and Crips.
Yeah, just
everyone thinks they're cool in middle school because they don't know how to do it.
You excited
Except for me. I was too cool for that.
You excited to call that match, Dylan? You're the new voice of the gauntlet? Yeah.
Oh, of course.
You know what else you're excited for?
What's that?
To review Captain America, the first
Avenger. The first Avenger! Yeah. He's number one!
Dylan, let's start with you.
Sure.
Tell us your history of this movie and what do you think upon the second watch? Or, I don't know, how many you watched it, but...
I've either seen this movie twice or 3 times.
Okay,
the first time I saw it was likely not in theaters, but when it popped up on Netflix for the first time, I would think it's the first time I saw it. Because I was never really too interested in Captain America. I mean, I didn't read comic books in general, but he wasn't necessarily a character I was that interested in because first of all, I didn't really know anything about him. When I watched this movie back in the day, I remember thinking it was okay, but nothing special, nothing that I needed to rewatch. Watching it this time, I had a different perspective because now I've seen the two other Captain America movies, and
you're watching this in retrospect.
Movies that he's appeared in, and yes, watching it in retrospect, such as the title. So what did I think of it this time? I enjoyed it. I liked it enough. I think the last third, maybe quarter of the movie, I think I was maybe a little less interested. Probably because the villain wasn't really set up too well. He was a pretty generic villain, and that's kind of when he had more screen time. But I really liked the first half, I guess you could say, when just getting introduced to the character and meeting other people in his world, because it's kind of, obviously it's a different timeline at the start of the movie. I think there is some problems. I think this movie's like a bit dated, actually, in terms of like its action, and definitely, obviously they do a lot of things to have like the skinny Steve, as it were, and it doesn't always work. I think they did a pretty good job of it, actually. But you can definitely notice scenes where it's like, that looks really strange and like a bizarre, creepy-ass mannequin.
I think they're fine when he's in clothes. I think it's anytime his clothes are off, because the clothes, they look baggy. So, like, they don't make them skin fitted, so they're a little baggy, this and that. So it's like, okay.
The one scene for me that really stuck out is when him and Bucky are talking, and it's like right after he ditches their double date, and they have like this conversation back and forth. And it just looks honestly a bit ominous. It's
and
his scary.
His head's pretty big too.
His head, proportions proportions are off.
He kind of looks like Goldeneye when there's that big head sheet code you could put in, and all the characters had like big. Yeah, that's what it kind of looks like. Some shots, and some look alright.
And the action in general, I think why I say it's dated is, I don't know. There's some action scenes in here with like that just seem like classic. I don't know when this movie came out, 2008 or 9 or something like that.
I think 11.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it came out a year before Avengers.
There's just some classic scenes of, like, you know, explosions in the background and, like, just some super cool shots. And, I don't know, some of it didn't work. I think Captain America fighting in particular worked, but there's a lot of, I don't know, stuff that it seemed kind of cheesy and maybe not what you would see in a comic book movie today, but it definitely was of the time. That was more common, I guess. You know, you want badass shots and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think this was in the mid, because this came after Iron Man, so it feels like this is in the middle of. This movie, out of all of them, the ones we've done so far, feels the most caught in between, like, the old school, like, X-Men, Spider-Man, and Daredevil, and then, like, the MCU movies, right? Like, it feels like it's some, like, kind of combination of the two. And maybe also, too, because this Disney was taking it over, so it's also that, maybe, too. It's just, like, weird.
Yeah,
like,
this is the last movie before Disney...
No, this is one of their first ones they took. Thor and Cap are their first two, so that's
Really?
Yeah. Iron Man 2 was their last one. I'm pretty sure.
But this one was pre-Disney, though.
It was after Disney. I will find out.
I'm pretty sure that's not correct.
Disney.
I was big cruising on the IMDb trivia for this movie after I watched the movie, and I think this was the last movie before Disney bought them out. This is Paramount. This is the last movie of like Paramount Pictures, I think.
Oh, okay. Maybe you're right. Let me see. Well, keep going.
I'm not gonna, drop the hashtag Dylan told you, because I don't have an ego the size of a train. But
unfortunately, right now I put Disney buys Marvel. All the news stories are about them buying fucking X-Men and Fantastic Four right now.
Yeah, that's old news.
Marvel Studios
just accepted. What else do I have to say? I think for the most part I like the characters. Like I said, the kind of a weak villain. Soundtrack was nothing special, but I think one thing we mentioned with Iron Man and Hulk and I don't know, a couple other times is actors, getting into the role of that character, and when is the first time they appeared as it. I think Chris Evans actually does a really good job for his first time. Obviously, the character isn't the Captain America that you're going to see in the later movies, because he starts as this kind of very feeble, weak man, and I don't know, he has a lot of heart, but he's not very confident. And I think Chris Evans does a great job of portraying that throughout the movie. And then at the end, I think we see like a transformation, and I think this movie does a really good job of displaying like the passing of time, because I don't know how much time, like a few months, maybe weeks, I don't know how long.
I feel like it has to be months.
But it feels the character development and like the pacing of it feels accurate. It doesn't take you out of it at all.
Yeah.
Which obviously is not the case with a lot of other comic book movies fail to do that. So yeah, overall pretty positive on this movie. It's not one of my favorites for sure, but it's pretty good.
So Walt Disney bought Marvel in 2009, August 31st, and this came out 2011, and Thor came out 2010.
But was this made by Disney though, or was it just after Disney had bought them out?
Well,
right, because this is the thing where like X-Men is now bought out, but there's still a couple movies coming out that are there.
It had to be made by, because Chris Evans wasn't even cast as Cap yet when they bought them. So Iron Man 2 was the last like X-Men one where it's like, oh, it's Disney, but Iron Man, they made this before the merger. So Thor and Cap, they did have those guys. Like, maybe they could have been in some sort of production, but they could have came down. Like, and one of the trivia things is too, they got Joss Whedon to rewrite some of the script.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that even if this was in production, they had enough power now to come and be like, like maybe say Nazi only twice in this movie, like, because they do only say it like twice, and it's like, because some people complain about that. It's like, oh yeah, that's supposed to be Nazis, but like it's pretty tame on the Nazism, which I don't know. I think Hitler's
in this movie, isn't he? At some point.
a body double of Hitler is in this movie, you know.
Sure.
Yeah, Taylor Field, Mr. Chili, which I did try to search up. I couldn't find. I searched Google, man dies of chili. I found dies of chili pie, but not chili.
Yeah, yeah, those pies.
Those pies.
So.
So he's choked on it before. Imagine if he choked and died right there.
That'd be wild.
So, you know, I remember seeing this movie, and after seeing Thor, I was really just getting excited about Marvel, and Captain America came in. I was like, you know, I didn't know that World War II could really be made so colorful in, like, a good way. But they did it, and I guess that's, you know, Disney for you. But, so, I think that the movie had a lot of cool, like, concepts and, like, fight scenes and action sequences and stuff like that. But one thing that, and it just popped in my head when you were pointing out things about his size, was that I feel like, you know, you to be so blunt and, like, foreshadowing something where he's in the alleyway and he picks up the lid of the garbage can and turns around and, like, you don't gotta do that. I mean, I'm not an idiot. It's called Captain America. I know what I'm getting into.
Yeah, but it's not called Captain Shield.
Isn't that supposed to be like a little joke, though?
Yeah.
And then it also, what I think what it foreshadows is that there's a kid later in the movie who has a garbage can, and he pretends that he's Captain America.
And he just likes to use shit to block, you know?
He just doesn't like bullies.
Yeah.
That's what he's all about.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I do really like the whole, like, at the very end, you know, when he's, like, in the present day. I really like that transition. Yeah, I know. I like in movies when someone, like, from the past is, like, goes to sleep or, you know, falls on ice and then wakes up, like, 70 years in the future. I think that's really cool.
Specifically 70 years.
Yeah.
Only 70.
Yeah.
Love when movies do that.
I think it's a very good movie. I'm excited to talk about it. You know, it's got.
I feel like you're not excited about this as previous retrospectives we've done though so far. You sound pretty like, oh yeah, it's good.
I'm an Iron Man fan. Team Iron Man.
Oh right, this is because of the whole. You can still like his movies just because I'm Team Cap. I'm like, oh fuck Iron Man.
I'm Team Iron Man.
I
fuck Iron Man
like,
too.
If I just, I feel like it's definitely just a rip off of Wonder Woman.
No, because this came out first.
Other way around. But yeah, I'm happy to talk about this.
Okay.
I think you're happy to continue that chili. You're just like, I want to stop talking so I can get. Yeah, there he goes.
Yeah.
He just took a big ass
Once he's done eating, you're like, oh, I love those. Yeah. So Captain America, the first Avenger. I was very, very excited because I'm trying not to sound like hipster trash here, but I have no physical proof. You know, everyone loves Captain America now. Captain America was easily in my top 10 favorite comic book characters, and honestly it was just with most characters, it was his look. Yeah, it was just American flag, but just something about seeing him the first time on a comic book, just the shield, and no, he didn't have the hair, but he had the wings on the helmet, and just the look, it just like, he just looked so cool. And then once, to me, everybody has that one character that they like that's a super goody two-shoes. For DC, it's mostly Superman, right? Or you got kind of like Reed Richards, things like that. Or there's certain people that I feel like, for myself, I'm not a big Reed Richards fan, I'm not a big Superman fan. And maybe for all the same reasons I shouldn't be a Captain America fan, but I am. He's that goody two-shoes, you know, by the book, by the law, gotta do it this way, you know, there's from point A to point Z, we don't break from it. And that's why I love the Civil War storyline, because he does, and that was a cool wrinkle in the character. But this was the kind of the one good old boy character I really, really love. And I think they do a good job of portraying the reasons I love him. I think Chris Evans does a good job. I won't be on the same bandwagon with you. I feel... I don't know. I maybe have to wait until we watch Winter Soldier. I feel he's better in other movies, but maybe that's just because the movies are better. So maybe that is. I feel like he does a really good job, but I feel like he's also in the mix of sometimes it's kind of a little more actiony, where he has the good old boy.
A lot of action in this movie.
Yeah. A lot of action. He has the good old boy elements, but there's sometimes where I feel that I don't think he's fully grasped the character yet, but that's completely fine. I thought he did a decent job, and he also wasn't my first pick when they cast him. I was like, oh, fantastic. Human Torch is playing Captain America. This is weird. Like, I don't know, and there's other people. But I thought he did a really good job. The movie does a really good job. But overall, out of the first phase, it's my least favorite Marvel movie. I like Iron Man more. I like Hulk more. I like Thor more. I definitely like Avengers more. I think, Dylan pointed this out, it does feel dated, but it's not even dated. It feels cheesy at times. I have some examples in my notes.
That's part of it, right? Because comic movies have strayed away from that typically, but...
Well, especially Iron Man, to me, it was like it takes the cheese and kind of spins it or has fun with it in a way, or is kind of meta about it. The cheese that I love in this movie is like when they do the propaganda stuff, you know, like stuff... When there's certain moments where I feel like the movie is supposed to be cheesy because it takes place in like the Silver Age and World War II and things were a bit more glossy back then, and that stuff works. But there's just stuff like, for an example, when he is getting beat up by that bully, Bucky just comes in like, get out of here, and he hits the bully with a newspaper.
Pick on someone your own
size.
size.
He kicks him in the butt, and it's like, I know people can be like, oh yeah, that's, that was back then, and I guess so, but I've seen many films about back then that were not like super cheesy and over the top. Like, I don't think everyone acted the way, like, watch Mad Men, like, I feel like that's a good version of how people acted back then. It's not just, they weren't all just like caricatures. I feel like a lot of people are like that, like, Downey's dad. Tony's dad is kind of that at sometimes. Action-wise, I think is good, but the fight scenes are not where they are. I think it's a lot of Captain America throwing people around, which is good. It's fine because it's his first movie, his first Inhumans. I hate there's a lot of Captain America and Steve Rogers running and he'll like push people out of the way. I hate when movies do that. Make a cool way where he just elbows them. Like so many times he'll just like push them out of the way. He does it like 6 times. It's super weird. The villain is a tough spot for me because it's probably one of my most disappointing things. Red Skull is one of my favorite Marvel villains of all time. He is such a cool, unique character. He is that.
That's kind of like widely considered by comic book fans, right? Like he's a really, really good character.
And he is, to be honest, he is that I want to dominate and kind of destroy the world type of villain. But he's kind of always been viewed as the best at that, right? Like he has these reasons. He was part of the Nazis, but he spun off on his own. And it is always, and I think Hugo Weaving does a good job of delivering the lines. I think the acting is good in the movie for the most part with Red Skull. I think the problem is I like the beginning of Red Skull. There's a big chunk in the middle where he disappears, and then he kind of gets a little not comical, but just generic villain, which he does turn into I just want to destroy the world. Red Skull is that, but there's more behind that, and he's more calculating, where this always just feel like he's just reacting to everything. Like he never felt menacing or like a smart villain. So that was always
big, very bland.
Yeah, that was always a big disappointment for me, and I think the movie overall, there's just something about it that I've never fully loved it. I like the beginning. I think I agree with Dylan again there that the ending is kind of meh. The final stuff is kind of all right. I think they do some good stuff, which we'll talk about, but it just, I guess this is the best way, and now people that always say I'm a DC hater, you can go reverse for the Marvel fanboys. I think the reason why I always look at this movie even more, so now Taylor touched upon it, to me, Wonder Woman was this movie, but knocked out of the park. To me, this does not feel like war. There doesn't feel like no desperation. It doesn't feel gritty or dangerous. And yeah, okay, that's a Marvel/Disney movie, and I get that they don't want to do that, but then that hurts points for me, because I never feel like anyone's in danger. I feel like the friendship with Cap and Buck is all right, but like I feel like everything is just kind of good enough in this movie. I don't feel anything is great in this movie, other than I think Chris Evans does do a great job in moments, but I also think maybe the parts that I don't like are just writing parts again. Like I feel like everything's good and solid. I'm that person that says MCU's never made a bad movie, and they still haven't. But I think it's just there's nothing. And Taylor, I know I pointed this out years ago. Like we get this big war montage where it's they're going to war and it's 2 minutes and it's over, and then we're just back to doing like regular stuff. And it's like it just the movie, and it feels like it's strange where it goes. Like we go. I feel like it's really succinct. Where it's his hero's journey and he gets to become Captain America. But it's like, he's propaganda. And then, he's after Bucky. And, he's trying to stop war. And then, there's Red Skull's little buddy on the train. And, Red Skull's over here. Like, there's not really... It never feels like we're trying to get to anything. And I guess that's kind of war, but they don't really... I don't think they do a good job of portraying it. And I think with it being a little cheesy at times, not one of my favorites. I still watched it. I watched it just a couple hours ago. I enjoyed it. It's not like, a slog, but it's definitely, when we do our overall rankings, it's probably in the lower tier of the Marvel movies for me, the MCU. So.
Right. Fair enough.
Where do we want to officially start?
Well, something that you mentioned there is the dynamic between Bucky and Cap.
Yeah.
I think part of the reason why I liked it in this movie is because I have like the history of what happens later on, and I can see those characters, and I really like those characters now. So looking back on it, I'm more positive on them, but I don't know. I still feel like they did a good job of just like kind of setting up that they're just like buddies and like from the beginning.
I think they do at the beginning, but my problem is I think in the middle of the movie they just kind of forget about it. Obviously, Bucky is away, and then he goes and saves him, right? And they have that one scene where he's trying to hit on Peggy, and Peggy's not looking at him. And then after that, Bucky's dead. He's in that montage, and I feel like it's just kind of there. They threw a couple jabs, and they almost like hint at this thing of Bucky kind of being like a little jealous of Captain America. And I feel like that wasn't needed, because we're not going to go anywhere with that. And I guess this is a minor spoiler from when we get to Winter Soldier. That's probably the reason why I didn't love it as much as everyone else, because I feel like their relationship should have been a bit more fleshed out and spent a bit more time with Bucky. And then when the Winter Soldier appears, it's this big thing where for me, I never feel like we got... I feel like this stuff was good, but I feel like we needed more. And I don't think Bucky should have died in the middle of the movie. I think they should have tried to find a way to do that with the final mission. Because his death, super anticlimactic. Just falls off a fucking train and he disappears.
Oh, yeah. I definitely forgot that happened. Like, watching this movie again.
And then Captain America, you know, he drinks, talks to Peggy, which is a good conversation. But then Bucky's gone. You know, like, it just feels like a cliff note in his life. Where in Winter Soldier, I feel like kind of what you said in Winter Soldier and Civil War, they kind of retroactively make it feel more important and bigger. But I don't feel like I was, as a comic book fan, I knew that was coming. And when that happened in the comic books, it was huge because they never brought Bucky. Bucky was one of these weird things in the comic books where they kept saying, oh, we're never going to bring him back. They did kill him off. And then it was like 30 years later where they did bring back Winter Soldier. It was shocking. Where in Winter Soldier, the movie, it's just kind of like, okay, yeah, it was kind of his buddy, his amigo, and that's all right. Like, I don't know. I think you probably liked it more than me. I never got the vibe that they were fully good. Like, not good friends, but I just wasn't like, oh yeah, this is a friendship that means so much. And maybe it's because I'm not the biggest fan of Sebastian Stan either as Bucky. Oh, yeah. I think he's fine. He doesn't stand out. He's always, to me, just kind of there. Even when he's the Winter Soldier, he's just kind of there. Yeah.
What do you think, Taylor?
Well, we're talking about Bucky, right?
We did spend the past 5 minutes talking about Bucky and Steve and their relationship.
The relationship. Okay, of course, yes, the relationship. So, I think, I mean, Bucky as a character...
Jesus Christ.
Sorry, I gotta get my bearings. Bucky as a character...
Damn good chili.
So
yeah.
good.
Completely zoned out.
Chili eye.
Bucky, I think Bucky was definitely okay, but I feel like he definitely, as being like introduced as a main character later on, which we'll get to, I feel like he was just basically put on the back burner with the other people in his team.
The Howling Commandos.
Yeah, I feel like he didn't really, I think he should have had a little bit more of a spotlight in the movie, I guess. And he did and he didn't for me at the same time, because, I mean, yes, he was introduced, like, early on with, like, Steve Rogers and all that, but it just felt like he was just there. Didn't feel like, oh, you know what, like, yes, we're not going to spoil it and be like, yeah, this is going to be the Winter Soldier in the next movie, but we're going to give this guy some more depth as a character, at least, in his development, and his relationship to Steve Rogers, so that at least it does justice throughout the movie and into the sequel. But I didn't feel like I got that, and I still don't know why the Russians or Hydra picked him.
The Russians?
Isn't it the Russians that were doing the...
Was it the Russians?
I thought so, because he had, like, the Soviet star in his...
okay. I guess
it was Russians that were training him or were doing that program and stuff.
Not in this movie, though.
No, but later on. But they were all...
I'm like, you do know the Nazis were Germany and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But I think
his whole life he's thought the Russians were the Nazis.
I think...
Oh, man.
I think these Russians were Hydra, though. Like...
Yeah, well, because Hydra kind of grows...
Hydra? Yeah, Captain America's Hydra now, apparently.
And then they fix it. They grow out to be like everybody Hydra, right? Eventually, you know, cut one head off and two shall take its place.
Yeah. Exactly. But I think why do they end up choosing Bucky? I don't know.
I think because he's just there.
We're out in the middle of this, like where this train was, and we found this body frozen in ice. We're gonna.
Well, I think it's the reverse that he survives that because of whatever experiments they were doing on him when Cap finds him. Remember, he finds him all tied up and that. So people.
Yeah. You kind of get like that face he has. That nothingness face. It's kind of what he has later in like Civil War and stuff when he's mind washed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think that's to say that he survived that fall because he had special stuff in him.
Right.
And I think maybe that's why the fall, like it literally just something gets shot and he like falls aside. I think he should have done like a self-sacrificing way. Like he should have been like, I guess they didn't want to. I guess they didn't want to parallel to what Cap was doing, so I'm not saying he had to take the train down, but just something like let's say
more heroic.
Yeah, something was gonna take out Cap, and he tackled him, and they happened to fall off.
Maybe it's better that he dies in a lame way, because it kind of builds the character up as like he has something to achieve, or maybe that like builds to later on or some jealousy with him and Captain America and some I don't know.
But I don't think
I'm looking at ideas. I don't really remember Winter Soldier a whole lot, so it's kind of a little bit tricky.
Well, then we can revisit that when we talk about Winter Soldier, because I feel like they even do that. That's to me the reason why I feel like the directors, and like I said, I don't want to make this a Winter Soldier review, but in Winter Soldier they do like another flashback of Cap and Bucky when Cap's skinny again, and it's like I felt like they even felt like we need like a bit more, and he's like super less cocky and arrogant than he is in Winter Soldier. Like you'll see, it's not the same Bucky they have in this, and it almost makes me wonder if because this was the early days of Marvel. If Winter Soldier was the planned sequel, if it was like, oh, we'll kill him off and we'll get to Bucky maybe eventually down the line, then it was like, okay, we're just going to do it second one. Because I know Kevin Feige has always had this plan, but I think at the beginning...
Sometimes, yeah.
Well, yeah.
It'll go off chart, of course.
And at the beginning, I don't think everyone was like, here, Kevin, do what you want. I think it was like, oh, we're a partnership, like, let's see. Especially Disney just bought them. I don't think they'd be like, hey, Kevin, you can do whatever you want. So... Because at one point, even Captain America Civil War was called, like, the Serpent Soldier or something, and it was, like, a code title. Like,
that's so down for that.
So, like, the early days of Marvel, there were some changes. So, I want to talk about Red Skull next, because I haven't heard... I want to start with Taylor, because we kind of got our opinion. What do you think about Red Skull as a villain? Because there's debate about, some people feel he's a really good villain, some people feel he's kind of just that minor tier, just like, oh, another generic villain. What do you think?
He gives me like some Doctor Doom kind of vibes in a way, but I think Doctor Doom's way cooler.
So less cool Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
Alright.
What's the actor's name that plays him?
Hugo Weaving, Elrond,
yeah.
Mr. Smith.
Mr. Smith.
Yeah.
I think he did a great job. That being said, I think I'd love it if Red Skull came back. I'm down. I know he's out there like roaming.
He's in that fucking cube.
Roaming. But he's not in the cube though. He went through the portal thing and went up into space.
Maybe, or he's in the cube.
So Thanos can summon him when he gets that
If he made a comeback in Infinity War with Thanos, I'd be 100%
no chance he's coming in Infinity War.
That sucks.
Yeah.
But
does it suck that bad?
I think so.
I think it does. Why do you not feel? Because you kind of winced when I said acting wise did it. I think acting wise he did a good job, and like when he was delivering his lines, he felt menacing. I think they just didn't give him some of the greatest lines. Or
my perspective is Red Skull is obviously he's a more like popular villain. He's one that I knew about before all this started, but I didn't really know anything about him. I just knew his look and his name. And I think in this movie he looks good. I like the look. But I don't know anything about the character, right? You can say from the comic book perspective that like you really like this character, even if he maybe doesn't have like the most amount of depth. And other people like him too. I see that online. But I don't know anything about him. So that's why I don't care if it's Red Skull really. Okay, fair enough. Or if they pull some other guy who looks cool, because to me that's essentially the same.
Do you want him back though because he looks cool at least?
There's a lot of characters that look cool in the world of comic book. Bring Condiment Man or whatever his name is. That guy looks fucking sick. So I don't care. Like you can bring whoever you want, really. I'm not opposed to Red Skull coming back. I think maybe I don't know. It's hard to say. Like I don't think they've really soured like Red Skull in general. I think they could bring him back and it could be a success. Yeah. I don't think Infinity War is really the place to do it.
Guess who's back? Red Skull.
And this guy from you'd have a lot of questions to answer for, because if his whole goal was to be a Nazi and
his goal wasn't to be a Nazi anymore. Remember, it was to splinter off. Like we're bigger than Adolf now.
I guess.
They only hint at this. I mean, they only hint at one point in the final fight scene. He says, "Captain America." He's like, "I envision a future where the world has no flags and we're just one." And that's, I mean, they sprinkle like little hints of stuff where like, oh yeah, like that stuff that he talks about all the time. But really then it just comes back to like, ah, and he screams a lot. And like to me, one of the worst moments I hate, that's why to me they don't make him cunning. And even then, even if he's just a destroy the villain type of world, destroy the world type of villain, he is the guy, like I said, he's always cunning. He does, like, there's some sort of twist, right, of like, oh, how did this happen? Oh, Red Skull pulled off. So it's like, okay, he might just want to destroy the world, but it's a cool way. It's not just, hey, it's a fucking laser beam he's going to shoot in the sky. One of the moments I hate is in that montage. He literally just drives up to one of his bases and it's broken and fire, and he's just like, ah, like, Red Skull would not be the guy who would not know his base is getting attacked, who would just drive up and act mad. Like, that's what I mean, at the end, like, the second half, he kind of just acts, like, almost, like, comically, like, he feels like, it feels weird, and I don't want to put those parallels, but he feels like a Disney animation villain where they're just kind of like, oh damn it, like Scooby-Doo and those
they just make like big faces,
and like I'm gonna get them, like, and that's what I hate, where at the start of the movie you feel like he's talking a lot more about philosophy and the gods, like he has like a higher purpose, and they even talk about it, like, oh, he's seen gods or he's seen things that we just think, like, they kind of think he's crazy, right? But like they hint about that, but in the second he like takes off his face, it's just evil snarling villain, and I think it's great because
that's the problem, right? As like the actor portraying this character without the face, like there's actually more to him, and then when you finally get the reveal and know this is Red Skull, for maybe it's people who didn't know this going in, or obviously going back we know Red Skull. I knew the villain was Red Skull, but he kind of just he kind of disappears. There's like no character development after that. It's unfortunate.
They're like, oh man, people are just gonna love the fucking red face. That'd be great. And I will say, I love his look because it looks like it's very minimal. It is very, very minimal CGI. I don't think there's much. I think they sunk his cheeks in a bit, but that was the biggest thing back in the interwebs that back then when his photos leaked online and you saw him walking around. It looked so cool, and I think as a huge fan of Red Skull, the look is perfect.
Build anticipation for it. Yeah.
That's the two things where I don't know if we'll ever get him back. Infinity War, I don't think so. People myself have been wanting him back for a long time. I think Dylan said it right that I don't think they did like a Maliki from Thor Dark World where it's like, oh, this guy's awful, but I don't think he's best. So I think he's that lukewarm where people are like, oh yeah, Red Skull should come back. Well,
apparently, Hugo Weaving's not a fan of that character either, right? Because of all the makeup that it takes.
Well, it's funny because that's what I was going to go to. So the first, like, it was in 2012 after the movie came out, and I think it was before Avengers. People asked him, he's like, no, I don't really want, I'm paraphrasing, but he said he didn't want to come back. He's obligated to because he signed a contract, but he's like, I really hope they don't bring him back because they wouldn't want to force an actor to do something they didn't want. So it was pretty like, oof, like you don't want to come back. The rumor was the makeup, he did not like it, and makes sense. Maybe
just recast him. Yeah.
Well, he could recast, or I said, even though it would suck for look wise, they could just pull an Iron Man and just put the dots on his face and CGI it. Because before Iron Man I always fucking say them in the reverse. Downey wore like part of a suit and they used the CGI around it. Now he just wears fucking dots and that's you can tell in first Iron Man and Civil War like his head placement looks weird in Civil War at times. So if they got him back, I would want to bring him back, and if they want to, they could just CGI his red face. I could get over it. But the thing is now, it's funny because I was looking at this because I'm with Emily, and I look back and quotes from last year, his tune has not completely changed, but he's a bit more like, oh, I had so much fun playing him, and it was fun playing this over-top villain. And he's like, oh, I don't know. People ask him if he's going to come back. He's like, I don't know. I don't think there's any plans for Red Skull, but he's like, we'll have to see. So I said to Emily, I felt like after Avengers came out, he's like, oh fuck, like I'd be down to play Red Skull again. Like I feel like he did this movie, it's just another generic comic book movie. He's like, oh, I'm gonna play this once, and then once he saw it blow up, he's like, oh yeah, I could come back. Yeah, so I think there's a chance, and maybe we'll talk about this on our when we do like a Infinity War Infinity War prediction show. I think he could come back, but not in Infinity War. I think the events of Infinity War and that could spin him coming back into the world. Yeah. But at the same time, with them getting now Magneto, Doctor Doom, villains, do they need him? Like, I really want him because he's one of my favorite characters. I think Hugo Weaving, and then I want him brought back. Not.
Well, are you opposed to them recasting him?
No, not at all. They could recast him. I think there's many great actors.
Because even with like, obviously you don't need a human face anymore from him. You could just always have the Red Skull face.
You don't even at this point. The movies are so big. Don't even get a name actor. Just get some fucking really talented Broadway like no name German actor like. If it is just him in the red makeup the whole time, you don't need... Like, look what they did with It, right? We didn't know who Bill Skarsgård was before Pennywise, and now he's all over, and people talk about, oh, he should do this and should do this. Like, do that. Get somebody we don't know. Do some time travel shit. And I guess my final point is, I don't want them to bring him back because of, oh, I really enjoyed him in this movie. I enjoyed him enough. I just want them to bring him back to kind of, like, redeem him, be like, this character...
There is potential there to be had.
Yeah, and they've done it before. We haven't got this far, but I feel like they kind of do that with Hawkeye in the Avengers movie, where Hawkeye is in the Avengers movie. He's just off the side, nothing, and then Avengers 2, they give him this whole backstory with a family. So they've done it before, but with villains, I don't know. And like we said, like I said, I don't know if they have any interest. They got Doctor Doom, they got Magneto, they got Galactus, Silver Surfer could be kind of a villain. Like, they have so much to play with. Do they really look at this and go, hey, do we need them?
I guess the other side of it is, like, it was quite some time ago, and I think this movie in general isn't really, like, people don't look back on it and say, oh, I love that movie. Yeah. Right? So
there's a pocket of people.
Of course, well, there's always going to be a pocket of people. There's also a pocket of people who fucking hate this movie and think it's a piece of garbage, I'm sure. But I think the point is that it's been long enough now that I think they could recast or bring them back and just... Whether or not, like, obviously you'll need some time travel stuff if you really want it to be accurate, but honestly, they could just avoid that, probably, and I don't think people would be too mad. No. I don't think I would be too mad.
And you can just say, even if he's younger or something, he came out of the fucking stone or space, people aren't going to ask questions, like, oh, something happened.
I want to know what happened up there.
And they'll release some fucking comic book canon thing or whatnot, but,
half an hour flashback scene what he did. What happened in that Tesseract.
That's how Infinity War opens. It's just like Hugo Weaving and... Yeah, so we'll see Red Skull, and I'll also talk about Red Skull a bit more. But where do we want to go next? We've talked about Chris Evans. What do we want to say more? Because it's weird talking about I find that actually the challenging part about the retrospectives the most is talking about these guys, because we talk about them so much in the current reviews, right?
Right.
So it's weird where like Red Skull or like with Edward Norton, it's things we don't talk about anymore. With Chris Evans, like we saw him in Civil War, we saw him in Avengers 2, like recently, right before we did the cast. I think he does do a great job. I think the only parts I think are writing for me. Like I said, I don't think it's him. I think just sometimes they get lost and they go for the good old boy. I think they get like 75% there, but I think they like sometimes he's just super action generic kind of dude. Where I feel like in the following movies he is always like red, white, and blue on his chest. Like he's always the man of valor, and he never does anything like devious in this movie. But there's just times where I feel like it's just kind of like Arnold or Sly could have played this role at times too, right? But I think Chris Evans does a good job. He blew me away when I watched it because I thought he wasn't going to be that good when they cast him. So, yeah.
Just based off like Fantastic Four?
Well, yeah, I think Chris Evans, to be honest, I've not seen much of his work, but the stuff that I have seen, I think he's a good actor, but I don't think he is...
Star.
Yeah, I don't think, even though his past record, like a Fassbender, where it's like, oh, he's Magneto, don't count the past 2 years, but like, oh, he has all this acclaim, he's doing these movies, he's getting nominated for awards. You don't really see that with, honestly, most of the Marvel people, other than, funny enough, like Mark Ruffalo's out there, like, getting a lot of award on, but like, so I feel like he was kind of that when he got cast in old Marvel, was like, before we had this legacy of like, what they're kind of the type they go for. I was like, oh, he's a fine guy, but I don't know if I don't know if he can do this, but he did it, and he did it well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I liked him enough. I think for me it's the development, because he seems like a really different character at the start and end of this movie, and I think the progression of that is really, really well done. I think his acting when it comes to the first. The section when he's like Skinny Steve, I think some of it's kind of weird because obviously as an actor you're limited, like you can't move in this scene because then it will ruin the integrity of the shot, and that kind of takes away from, I don't know, like I don't feel like he could really give it his all, right? Because he has like all these parameters that I imagine, I'm guessing that's how it was when you're filming that, because there's a lot that goes into
I'm not sure
making like that kind of transformation for like a lot of scenes. Like there's a ton of different scenes.
It's a good half an hour of Skinny Steve.
A good half an hour of Skinny Steve.
It's gonna be my novel one day.
Yeah, I don't know. I had fun. I had fun watching this character's journey, and it's a character that I didn't really care for much back in the day, and I don't. It's hard to remember what I really thought of this movie when I first saw it, but I remember not being like too stoked on it. So I think I was more positive on it now than when I watched it for the first time back then. Yeah,
and I think the one thing like I can speak from as a comic book fan is they do a great job, and I saw his valor. I think especially in that beginning they do a great job of showing why he is better than everyone else, why he's more important. Like just scenes like with the grenade and with the, I can do this all day now, like the classic Cap line, and seeing him outsmart everyone with the flagpole. I think the training montage, which is, I say montage, but it's much longer, all that sequence of their scenes, they do a good job of fleshing the character out. Also of making him appear a lot more different than the Avengers that we've seen previously. Like he's not like anyone else, and I think he does do that, back to what I was saying earlier. He does do the good old boy in not a cheesy way, in a way where it's like, roll your eyes, this guy's kind of lame. I think some people feel that, maybe Taylor still feels that way, but I feel like a lot of people at the beginning they still felt that. I think eventually the character grew on people and they understood that it's not so much about just being this cheesy hero, it's just he's just trying to do good for everyone else, and that's why he's the best, because he has the most heart out of maybe all of the superheroes in history. It's like him, Spider-Man, Superman, those three are always up there as these guys who are putting themselves on the line, always trying to do good, always just good-natured people for the most part, unless they're apparently doing Hydra in comic books. But for the most part, I think they do a very good job of, even the way he carries himself and the way when he does do the propaganda stuff of how gleeful he's doing it and how he's taking photos with the kids and everything.
It's kind of, what was it in Civil War? I can't remember where there's like that video, that Captain America video they're showing to like the PE class or something.
Homecoming. I know
it's Homecoming, right.
Yeah.
It kind of, it reminds me of that, and I thought that section of the movie was kind of funny when he just seems like so confused with what he should do and how he can affect the war, and I don't know what, because obviously we talked about this before. Captain America is like the symbol of like hope, and obviously that's like you kind of get that at the end of the movie with the kids running around and they're all stoked and stuff like that. So I don't know. I like that he doesn't really know what to do yet at that point either, right?
But he has his morals and he sticks to them, right? Like his idea is like same thing. It's like, oh, I wanted to be here doing this, but look at me now, because they're making him do like the talking in front of the war guys, and he's like, you know, I can't remember what he says, and they just throw tomatoes at him.
Yeah, they're not a fan.
Yeah, they're not a fan, but you can tell he's just trying to do anything that can help the country and his fellow man out. And I think throughout the movie they do a good job of keeping that throughout. And I think Chris Evans does a great job playing that. So
I think he was definitely a bit more cocky and a bit of a player in this one, I'd say.
Ooh, player.
Yeah, I mean,
a little bit. You know,
he was making out with that secretary.
Forcefully.
I fucking hate that scene a lot.
We can talk about that because it's a weird scene.
It's so unnecessary.
It's just to put drama in between Peggy and
No,
Cap.
but then they resolve it in like the next scene because in a really stupid way, because she's there watching like that movie with what's his face, some random war movie, and like there's some random shot where he's like sneaking around and he has like this little stopwatch with their picture in it, and then that issue is completely resolved and it has no impact on the rest of the movie. Yeah. So it just seems completely unnecessary, and that's like one of those things that's really cheesy too, right? When it's a classic, he's like doesn't want to kiss this girl, but she goes in, and then the other girl walks in and sees it, and then she's all mad, and then he's like trying to explain, and she doesn't give him the chance. It's like, why did this have to be in this movie?
Well, and the scene's really weird because I put in my notes, it feels like it's like a sexual thriller in a second, because when she I'd have to pull up the clip but watch it on YouTube. It's not the way she's like, and you saved 400 people's lives, and then the music that comes in is like scary, like intimidating music, and then eventually gets to like the camera but like the way it starts, it feels like she's gonna like, I don't know, sexually assault him. Like it's super weird. It's weird. I'll try to find it after the cast. It's weird, the music notes that come in. It's like, why are we playing scary beats here? Yeah, no, I can agree with you once you point that out. But I think this movie is riddled with scenes like that where it's like, this didn't need to be here. No. I think that it's just riddled with scenes where like this didn't need to be here. Like Dum Dum Dugan is a really big character in the comics. That's the guy who had like the top hat on. He has the big handlebar mustache.
I do not remember.
Exactly, but he has one scene where he's talking about like with that guy. He's like, "Oh, one day I'm gonna get a stick and beat you with it," and it's like, okay. And they kind of, I thought they did that because Dum Dum's gonna be a big character. No, this is the only movie he's in. They don't care about Dum Dum Dugan, so it's like, there's scenes like that throughout the movie that are just placed there, and they're like, okay. You were gonna talk about Captain America.
Captain America.
Captain Chili.
Captain America.
Yeah, he's I think, you know, it was as I said, like he was definitely more cocky in this movie and all that. I don't know. I feel compared to like the later movies, he definitely was just kind of like, I don't know. He enjoyed being up on stage, I feel like, doing all those performances. Like, I feel like he was just much like a goon, you know? I could tell him what to do, and he'd just do it. He didn't have any morals at this point, you know? I feel like...
I will disagree. He had lots of morals.
No, I mean...
Because the only reason he's doing those stage things is because they said you're going to stay in the lab, and they weren't going to let him out. So what's he supposed to do? Just sit around? At least this is kind of helping the idea of everyone in the country is, like, finding this figure to get behind, like, this guy is fighting the war for us, like Captain America is gonna save us from
more
Hitler.
Help in a lab though if they were able to figure out the
even
potion
they have that line, Peggy, remember, they take all his blood and she's like, like your blood will help us, but without Dr. Jotunheim, I don't know, I can't remember his actual name.
Jotunheim, that's Earth.
Yeah, without him this is gonna be years from now until we figure it out. So he was just gonna be sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah, don't you think that kind of embodies the Captain America idea of hope and giving and making, you know,
on stage?
Obviously, there's also the part where he's like selling bonds or fucking whatever it was, but
he did get to punch Hitler a lot of times. So that's a plus.
That's a big tribute to the comics. There was a very famous comic cover of Captain America punching Hitler, and you see it in the movie. It's very similar to that.
Like on a stage like that, or just punching?
No, just punching him somewhere in the world. Yeah.
Captain America punches Hitler.
But apparently no moral. Dr. Abraham Erskine. Okay.
Abraham Erskine.
Okay.
Abraham.
So apparently you think Captain America has no morals.
Not no morals. He's a little bit more of.
How about when he jumped on that grenade?
Yeah.
Well, he had more morals before he became Captain America, you know.
But after the serum, you think he's just a jacked up douchebag?
I think he just was a little bitch for a little bit there.
I don't think so at all.
I think so.
Right? We watch the same movie.
The second he gets to go to war camp that night, he goes and saves Bucky and he saves 500 people and all that. Like, I don't think he's cocky. I think he's just a happy guy that's happy to be helping people. Like, that's his cause in life.
I mean, it's cocky, like, I have the strength to do something that you can't, so I'm going to do it to help people. Not because I want to be a cool guy, but because I want to help people.
And I think the propaganda stuff, he gets not cocky. I think he just gets a little happy because he's being noticed for the first time in his life. He's not a loser. This girl's talking to him. Mm-hmm. So I think you see that parallel at the beginning when no one's talking to him. The two girls are more interested in Bucky. So I think it's him just falling in love at the moment, but you can tell that he's wanting to get out of it. He says many remarks where he's like, oh, this is not what I want to be doing.
Yeah, but then, I mean, it carries on with him too, like going back to that scene where the one girl like bats her eyelashes and then he's like all over her. So
he's not all over. He says hi. And then they cut away. We don't know what happens.
He's all over her.
I feel like I don't know where you're coming from this because that scene does not. I don't know. It's just a girl's approaching him, and that's showing. Before girls didn't care about him at all. Now he has this newfound life, and he's trying to deal with it.
Yeah, but he
found muscles.
If Peggy wasn't in there in the picture, he'd be just rolling in probably all the girls.
Sure. And what's wrong with that?
Well, it takes away from him having his morals and what he believes in. Because afterwards,
no, it doesn't.
Afterwards, going into like Winter Soldier and Civil War, he's so composed, and it takes him like 10 years before he kisses Peggy's niece or whatever.
That's completely different because, I'm sorry, I think I'd be a little composed too if I woke up tomorrow and it was 70 years later and everyone I knew was dead. I think he's kind of a little like, I don't know what to do in this situation.
Well, have you ever experienced that?
Yeah,
no, but I mean...
You were born on another planet, you woke up here one day.
It's true.
Weren't you confused when that happened, Taylor?
Tell us everything you know about the humans.
I don't know, just like between this Captain America and the later ones, he definitely... I don't know. Just
he smells different.
The morals he's throwing him out the window.
He's not throwing. He's allowed to have sex with as many men or women as he likes.
But he didn't.
And he didn't. Well, I still think
he didn't because Peggy was there though.
No, Peggy wasn't there. She was at the war camp. This is when he was alone. I think he could be sleeping with anyone he wants. His morals were about saving America and doing right for people and just wanting to stand up for the little guy. That has nothing to do with banging this blonde that came up to him and like.
And Taylor, what would you do if Natalie Dormer came up to you and started kissing you? Would you say no? I don't know if you'd have the strength.
If I had a Peggy in my life, I would have backed off and been like, no.
He thought
that Peggy wasn't. He knew like him and Peggy weren't together. Though.
And
he thought they were working.
No, but remember,
he doesn't know that.
Do you remember?
Peggy's very stern. She's very.
And after that scene, because he says to her, he thought her and Howard Stark were together. He's like, you guys were fondue.
Yeah, but. Before that, he's like, you fondue? And she was like, no, or whatever. Didn't she?
No, she doesn't answer.
He doesn't even know what fondue means.
Yeah, he thinks it's fucking, because he literally goes and asks Howard later, and he's like, fonduing, it's melting, and he's like, oh, don't worry about it, man. Like, he thought fonduing was cold, because he has no idea. He's this little nerd who doesn't talk to women, or has no idea. So he literally thought fonduing meant they were together.
Yeah, but all the nerds that are watching this movie could pick up on the signs that she likes him. I'm sure he could.
Yeah, but this was a nerd in the, World War II. Maybe they didn't.
Yeah, but he has his good morals,
That has nothing to... Where are you
Men are notorious for missing all these signs that these women drop. In a movie, obviously, when you only have 2 hours, you make it very obvious.
And even then, if you didn't hear what fonduing was... I mean, if you didn't know what fonduing was, that does sound like some sort of slang.
That sounds highly sexual.
Yeah, that does.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that.
I just love that when it does work, like, he threw his morals out the window, and then like, but what about his morals? I don't know. I don't know where you're going with Captain America. I think maybe you need to rewatch it.
He was probably having safe sex if he was having sex. So can you be okay with that? Or do you think he wasn't?
Yeah. No, that's good. Good for him.
Taylor's too busy eating fucking chili while watching this movie, apparently.
Wasn't eating fondue.
I will say, because I think Chris Evans, for me, like I said, I don't think he knocks it out of the park yet. I think it's the other movies. For me, I actually think the best part of this movie, the best person in this movie, is Haley Atwell's Peggy Carter.
The big Peg.
Yeah, I think there's a reason they gave her own TV show. Unfortunately, it only lasted 2 seasons, but...
What show is that?
Agent Carter.
Agent Carter.
Oh, really? I didn't actually know that existed.
Yeah, on ABC, 2 seasons.
I didn't ask that question.
The team, the what gang?
The Howling Commandos.
Yeah, she's with the Howling Commandos.
Howard Stark makes some appearances. So, yeah, I think she's really good. She's a really well-rounded character. I think she does a good job of being the leader. I think she does a good job of when she's comedic. I think she does a good job of when she's kind of being, like, seductuous in a way.
Seductuous,
is that a word?
I don't think so.
It is
Seductive,
now.
perhaps?
Seductuous.
I like seductuous better.
Like just the scenes where she's hinting about like, oh, I need a dance partner, and she blows off Bucky, and I think her and Chris Evans have really good chemistry. To be honest, I think this is probably, I don't know. I guess I would still put it below Pepper and Tony because they have really good back and forth. But there's something to me that attaches this more. I think maybe it's because I'm not the biggest Gwyneth Paltrow fan, so that could be it. But I think they're up there neck and neck because for their relationship with Pepper and Tony, it's very of a back and forth, like quips at each other, like making fun of one another, but they really love each other. Where this feels very caring. It feels like they're looking out for one another. Other than, Dylan pointed out, there's this pointless subplot in the middle where they kind of stop fighting. But for most of the movie, like, she's the first person, it seems like, that checks on him after Bucky dies and said that wasn't his fault, and they talk it out.
Yeah.
And even the sacrifice scene.
And she was kind of like the nicest, well, other than like the.
She believed in him.
Other than Dr. Jotunheim, she was kind of. Because even Bucky like didn't really believe in him.
No, he just kept telling him like, "No, you won't." He's
like,
make
"Man,
it.
It's safer here for you."
Yeah.
But she always, I don't know, saw the good in him. I guess.
And that's why, to me, I'm gonna take that back to Bucky quickly. I think that's
fuck Bucky. I hate that character.
Well, I think I think that you pointed out, like, I wish it was, hey, you should stay. It didn't fully feel like it's for his best interest. It always still felt like a little cockiness of like, oh, you're a little tyke, like. It's. Yeah. I wish there was more of what she was and looking out for him. It kind of felt like that too. Of when he was Skinny Steve, she would talk to him. It's not like she believed in him, but she did feel like, oh, he might have limits, because it even says when you see his report, it's like limited oxygen, like just like in his life, like all this stuff, like he has all these problems.
He has a lot of problems.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, so he probably can't make it, but just the little smirks, like when he does the flagpole one, she just slowly keeps believing in him. And I think it's in my notes, but I think the sacrifice scene is probably one of the best scenes in the movie. I love the propaganda scene of the actual dance sequence. I said in Disney World because they own Marvel. I went there this year. They need a stage show of that if they make a Marvel World. I would pay to see a 30-minute show of like the fake little punching Adolf and everything like that. But I think the sacrifice scene is great too. It doesn't come off cheesy. It comes off, I think, really well, and it's very subtle because it's never at one point, like, he says I gotta bring the ship down, but he's never like, and I'm gonna die, and I'll never see you again. Like, the whole back and forth of them kind of just ignoring that he's gonna die.
As someone who kind of forgot, like, most of these later scenes in the movie, I was like, man, I hope they don't just drop, like, I love you.
Yeah,
and they didn't.
Yeah, and even though...
Other movies have. Recently, I can't remember the name of it, but some of the movies.
And I do feel like... that they do love each other, but you don't need to throw that out there because she has a ripple effect throughout many movies. She's in Civil War, she passes in that, so like he keeps looking out for her. But I think this movie made a great foundation of their relationship. I think it's the most believable out of them, and I think she is great. And the other thing is when she needs to kick ass, she kicks ass. Like when she's putting them through their drills,
she just smashes that dude in the face.
Oh yeah, like and then I've always loved the scene is when she picks up the gun and shoots him with the
that's snipe.
Which one?
The sniper you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about when she's mad at Captain America and she shoots him and he puts up the shield and he's like, oh yeah, the shield works right. Like, the shield works good. Like, she is...
I like the other scene when she, like, snipes that dude from the taxi from, like, 200 feet away.
Oh, yeah, just with, like, a pistol, too.
Like, I don't know if that's actually possible, but she fucking sniped that guy right in the head, too.
Yeah. But yeah, I kind of feel like it's just as much Chris Evans' movie, but I feel like at times... She kind of steals.
A lot.
She is, and I feel there's scenes where she kind of steals the show. Like there's times where I know that's why she got her own show, but I would love to see her more. Obviously, that's because time jump. You can't really do that much, but they brought her back here and there, and in the future, I'm sure we might talk about her again. But she's great whenever they bring her back.
Dropped her in an iceberg, froze her for a quick 7.
That's not how it works. Ice just doesn't freeze you.
Yeah, it would be a superhuman as well.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much said it all for Peggy.
Boom.
Way to go, Travis. But yeah, I agree. Anytime she was on screen, I was curious to see what was going to happen. And as well, like her and Chris Evans, I think obviously they have a great connection together. But she as well feels like she really has a development from... I mean, I guess it's obviously a lot less than his development. But I guess what I'm trying to say is like the pacing of it and how... Yeah, I don't know what the time period of this movie is, like in terms of like, weeks or months, but... Her character seems to flow throughout that logically, and the only scene I don't like of her is that one when the same scene of Chris Evans kissing Natalie Dormer, and then she walks in. Yeah. Other than that, I like everything with them, and that scene when she's like on the radio on the other end of it as he's going down, and she's just she doesn't drop the "I love you" bomb, but she's just talking to him and just hearing each other's voices pretty much.
Yeah.
Until it fades out and really really powerful scene.
Very well done.
A nice end to the maybe anticlimax of Red Skull disappearing into thin air. But
yeah, I got that in my notes to bring up after.
Miss Peg, what do you think?
I'd be down for her and Black Widow movie. That would be pretty cool.
That doesn't line up.
Bizarre.
Doesn't line up time wise.
Well, time isn't really a feature like a thing in this series anymore.
Really?
I think it still is. I don't think we've gone. What character has time traveled yet?
Doctor Strange.
Okay. You got me.
Boom! Beat that, nerd.
Fair enough. Okay, there you go. Black Widow, Peggy Carter movie coming at you. I just don't think there would be a reason for that to happen.
It'll be Doctor Strange 2, and he just connects those two characters, and then he fucks off. He comes back at the end, and then puts them back in their respective timelines.
Red Skull.
And then brings Red Skull back.
Yeah.
And then brings Malekith back just to kill him.
Oh no.
Malekith. Yeah, no, I think Peggy's, she's pretty cool. Definitely between her and her knees, I definitely think Peggy's
her and her knees.
Her and her knees, yeah.
Between her and her knees.
Yikes. Between her knees.
Yikes. That's not gonna go out.
Hot and spicy.
No, her knees.
Hot like a good bowl of chili, would you say, Taylor?
Oh, yeah.
You can dip your bun in it?
Oh,
yeah. It's a good one. It's split in half.
I like
this is the chocolate milk on
man, you guys been drinking some Travis special juice apparently. Yeah, what was I gonna say? Yeah, her knees. I like the actress who plays her, but she is nothing. No, she's nowhere near the character.
She hasn't had the opportunity yet.
Fair enough.
Might get there.
I think in Civil War they gave her a little shot and it just didn't really go anywhere. I feel like you look at the chemistry that Cap and her have compared to Cap and Peggy.
Right.
Nothing there.
Yeah.
You know, I just feel like even the second Peggy and Cap together, even as Skinny Steve, you feel in that car ride when they're driving and just I've always wanted to take a girl dancing there, and she said, you know how to dance. I don't think you get any of that with with Sharon Carter. So
you don't get any dancing conversations. That's true. That's very true.
Yeah. So I think as a character, she's very exciting and very action packed and everything throughout the movie. I think her development and her relationship with Steve was actually really, really awesome as far as relationships go between characters in these Marvel movies. I'll give their relationship a bump over Tony Stark and Pepper.
Oh, later Paltrow.
I do like Gwyneth Paltrow.
No, you don't.
Not anymore.
But I do think their relationship was just a good silent relationship. It was. They
silent.
silent.
I just said their main thing was they quipped it.
It's a very artsy film. There's no words spoken.
they
entirety of Captain America. Did you watch it on mute by chance?
No, I think he's talking about Iron Man was the silent.
No.
Oh, really?
Oh, no, Captain America and and Carter.
I thought you were saying Iron Man. I'm like they don't stop talking in that.
No,
they almost talk too much.
Their feelings were displayed, but yet towards each other they were very silent, and there was just oh yeah, so you fondue and all that stuff, and
I think you've said that 5 times.
It's a good phrase.
It's a fun word, isn't it?
So you fondue. So I think that I like that because there were so many awkward moments between Tony Stark and Gwyneth Paltrow. That being said, I like where Gwyneth Paltrow and Tony Stark's relationship has gone now.
Why do you call her by her actress name?
So you like where it's gone now, where Paltrow's completely gone. So you don't like Gwyneth Paltrow. Confirmed.
She's in one scene.
She's not dead, but she's just not here anymore.
I will say that
That's
one
the way
part.
Taylor likes it.
The one part in Homecoming, I really like that. It was really quick, but I feel like that was a good just flush of their relationship in general.
So you want that with Peggy? You just want her to walk up in Infinity War and
Hey.
No, because she's dead now.
What? Well, time travel. You set us up. That's true. I think there's a chance he sees her again.
Yeah, for real.
I think if Cap dies, if they kind of do a heaven or someone waiting for him, I think that's who's waiting for him. I could see him. I could see his heaven kind of be finally getting that dance with Peggy.
But she got married to someone else.
So it's not a true love.
It's not true.
Maybe she married him because he looked like Captain America.
Yeah.
Ooh, yikes.
It's
Poor guy.
If I looked like Captain America, she wanted to marry me, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah. Second fiddle.
Second fiddle.
But yeah, I think their relationship is definitely up above. I think that it was really cool, their chemistry and the way she was just so assertive and just powerful, empowering in the movie. And I mean, I think this was great to pave the way, kind of more in the sense like, let's just throw out that female superhero lead, like yes, like.
Wow, and they still haven't done it yet.
No, they
did not do that.
Yeah.
Great question, Taylor. No, it didn't.
Captain Marvel coming fucking 2019.
Well,
unless we decide not to do it.
Yeah. Oh, we got Wolverine back. He needs another solo movie.
They've
She just dies in the first 5 minutes and it's just a Wolverine movie.
Yeah.
They've taken stride with it now, but I mean, back in the day, like. We didn't get those, like, a lot of female leads and stuff, and, like, here she is thrown into, like, being, like, buddy...
Into a man's world?
Yeah, into a man's world, and, like...
Man's world?
Like, buddying up with Captain America, the main lead, and she's, like, stealing the show half the time because she's such a badass, and she's just walking around that red dress and stuff.
Oh,
Taylor like that red dress,
apparently, yeah. Where did that come from?
Walking around that red dress. Taylor walks around in his own house. He bought off auction.
It was a nice red dress, though.
It was nice. Do we have anything big to shout out? I have a lot of little points that are talking points I'm sure we'll touch upon, but anything big we haven't talked about yet.
What about Tommy Lee Jones?
He's in my notes. I literally put nothing new but nothing bad.
He fulfills the role.
He's playing the same character he has for a while, and I think, I'm paraphrasing, but when he got hired for this, they interviewed him. So they're like, oh, you're in Captain America, what can you expect? And he's like, it's just the same old, like you've seen this performance before. I'll try to find the exact quote, but it was just like, oh yeah, this is a fucking paycheck movie. I'm not saying he's bad, and I think he does a good job of being the hard-nosed. You just know what you're getting with him, and he does that. I think
real hard-nosed.
I think there's, in some notes I have there on, he has some good one-liners. Like, there's one where he kills one of the Hydra agents, and he's like, now let's go kill 2 more. I like that. And I like when Peggy does pull Stephen for the kiss before he goes. He's climbing, he looks at Tyler Jones, and Tyler Jones like,
I'll give you a kiss too.
No, he's like, I ain't kissing you. And
that's the line, right?
Yeah, he's like, I ain't kissing you. I think he does a good job. He does, and he has a good back and forth with Doctor, who's played by the great Stanley Tucci, who I think does a great job as well for the minor screen time he's in it. Yep. He fulfills that Jensen role of okay, he's gonna be that guy that Captain America always remembers, right? The person that believed in him and gave him a chance.
The first person to believe in him.
Yeah, everyone has one of those in the movies, in the comic movies. I mean,
every single person does.
Well, Thor has.
I don't actually know. I'm just. It's a big quiz right now.
No, I think
answer go. Superman.
It's a common theme,
Killer Croc.
It's a common theme like dead parents, where there's always somebody that put them on their path and they're going there. Everyone has an Alfred. That's what I'm trying to say.
Everyone has an elephant.
Yeah. Alfred.
Oh, Alfred.
Everyone has a seductress elephant.
Seductress.
But yeah, you brought up Tommy Jones.
You loved it, didn't you? Yeah. Favorite character in the movie?
Man, he should be in a fucking Jurassic Park movie.
I think he was very inspiring. I liked how he tested.
Oh,
you were inspired by.
You weren't inspired by Captain America and his
How were you inspired by
this
character?
Bullshit.
It's the most generic character.
No more chili for you on casts.
No, why was he inspired?
Fuck you! That's a cast.
I think he's just such a great job at like really flushing out who Captain America could really be. Like he you want to be faced with doubt and denial all the time because it'll push you to go past your limits and maybe sometimes to have someone throw a grenade at you is a good thing. And I mean I don't know why they all freaked out. Obviously it's a dud. I'm not gonna throw a bomb off in your military base, but
what if they were being attacked?
What if that was Red Skull?
That wouldn't be anticlimactic. That would be a good sequence for him.
Like, what if he died there?
If he died, then that would be anticlimactic.
That would be. This movie probably sucks.
He just explodes,
just
and
black.
And they do go with that one guy they suggested, like, oh, what about
Buck?
Yeah, Matt over there,
Buck
and he's just like big, he's strong, he's big, and then they do that.
Yeah.
But I think he did a great job of just being that hard ass, and then even then like just being proven wrong or like proven that like Steve Rogers is a little bit better than he thought at times, and it just like when he jumped on the grenade and he kind of like and then just moved along, and then like even when like he's like what the hell is going on out there, and he goes and he sees all 500 men coming back with Captain America, and he's like, what did he say? He said a really good line.
There they are, back for more. I don't know.
I wish they were wearing red dresses.
He said, Captain America said, Captain America was like permission to get arrested or something like that, and he's like, that won't be necessary. It's like, that's good. You want
That's his line.
That was my favorite line. Yeah.
Most iconic.
It really just displays like an inspiring, like, well-developed character.
That's not necessary. Oh, fuck.
Well, I don't know how to follow that up.
How about the scientist with the glasses who worked under Red Skull?
I always forget his name.
Oh,
Zola.
Yeah, 'cause he's a main character in Winter Soldier.
He's a main character. He's not just a fucking...
He's an algorithm.
He's not a person on a computer for a 2-minute scene. He's a main character.
He's a real inspiring character, I would say. Highly developed. It is quite the arc.
I think Zola's there because that was part of the, hey, we don't know if we're ever going to bring Red Skull back. He's in the fucking cloud. Who could we bring back? Sure. I don't watch this movie and be like, man, he needs to come back. I think he does good.
Solo movie?
Yeah, I don't think he needs a Solo movie. I don't think he...
Hey! Don't mess with the Zolo.
They bumped that for Captain Marvel. Zolo, a Marvel story. I think he's a fine little, like, henchman. Like, there's nothing special about him. I like that actor a lot, but he's nothing memorable in this. He does his role well. And there's another thing, I'll say there's no bad acting in this, I think, for the most part. I think one person that does act bad is the guy who plays... Is it Oakenshield in The Hobbit?
Oakenshield.
Yeah.
I'm trying to picture what character he was in this movie.
He plays the Nazi who kills the Doctor and does the tooth and goes Hell Hydra. And he just has one of those classic, like... It's the first...
Oh, the guy, like, after the first chase
chases, yeah. And he just has one of these classic, like death scenes that I hate.
Foaming at the mouth, yeah.
Actors, when you're dying, just die. Don't do...
Wait, you're telling me in Saw 1 you don't love when What's-His-Face does, like, the...
Yeah, no, it just never works. But other than that, I think acting is good on all fronts, and that's good to great at times, you know?
Good to great at times. Yeah, I don't know if I'm really itching for that solo movie like Taylor over here. I think they had that character in here so that scene when Captain America and Bucky are chilling on one side of that scaffold thing, and then Red Skull's on the other side. That scene when he reveals himself. You know, they wanted to have 2 people each. It was supposed to be like 2 against 2. Yeah, the sidekicks. So I think that's why he was there.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought him up, Taylor. Anything else big?
Howard Stark.
Yeah, I don't like him actually.
Really?
There's just something about the way John Slattery plays him in Iron Man 2 and in the other Iron Man movies, like the guy who plays older Tony Stark's father. Don't see the matchup for some reason. I just don't see the same person, even though they're playing this cocky philanthropist. I
think from look-wise, I think it fits for Robert Downey and this guy. What's his actor's name, sorry?
Dominic Cooper.
Dominic Cooper.
Yeah, lots of people really like him. I've always thought he's good. I've never been a huge fan of Dominic Cooper, but I think sometimes he's kind of a fool too in the movie. There's a lot of inventions that don't work, and I don't know how much I love that. Well, at the beginning of the expo, that doesn't work. And
it works.
No, it works for a second, then it breaks down.
I think it's still like quite an astounding advancement in technology for the time, don't you think? Because that's like lifting an entire vehicle.
Fair enough,
for
I guess.
Various seconds. I don't see anyone else doing that.
I just feel the way he reacts, and there's a time.
And don't you like that because it's kind of like a precursor to what the Iron Man suit?
Here's the thing, it kind of is. But then also, when they're playing with the Tesseract, there's that scene where it explodes.
Just playing with the Tesseract.
Well, it explodes and it goes flying back, and it's a classic. I think he looks like Robin Williams at a flubber, like his hair is like up and it's like burn marks. He's like, oh, that's powerful. Like, I think the line Iron Man 2 when he's like, the technology of my time limits me. I wish they played off more than that than him making a few mistakes. Maybe it's not mistakes, he could save the technology, but they kind of played it off as him being like a lesser Tony Stark, and I don't think of him that way. I don't think of him as a lesser Tony Stark. I just thought of him as a smart guy who, like he said, didn't have all the tools in this generation, so that's why he hoped Tony would take it on. I don't think Howard to me sometimes comes off as a little bit of a fool, and I will say I don't think he's as charismatic as John Slattery as well, like the older Tony Stark. I think he knocks it out of the park. I could watch a movie because he's in Civil War and Ant-Man. Every time he's in the movies, I'm like, oh, that is definitely Tony Stark's dad. This, I'm like, this feels like Tony Stark's brother who's like not as good. That's how I kind of get the vibe.
Yeah, I can see that.
He's not awful. It's just, I just don't feel like, I feel like Tony Stark's dad in the movie, even for a little time, should be a shining limit. The same, or a shining star, same way, like, Downey when he's in Homecoming, right? Like, he's in it for a small amount, but you feel his screen presence. Don't feel that with Dominic Cooper in this movie.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not blown away by any means, but I like the character enough, and I I don't think I disliked any of his scenes. I thought it was some fun back and forth. Yeah, and I think it worked that... I think the idea of, like, when he obviously he's, like, showing off that car that was flying for a time, I think the people of that time, like the crowd, kind of display that is, like, pretty insane what he had done, even if it only worked for a few seconds.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, I kind of got the feel... I got the feeling that he was smart.
Got the feels.
I didn't think that he was a fool at any point, I guess.
Yeah.
Why, where was Obadiah Stane?
Mr. Stane?
Didn't meet him yet, I guess.
I thought they built a lot of stuff together, and this was...
Yeah, but they could have built a lot more stuff. He's pretty young, Tony's dad here.
Yeah, but they were pretty young in
youngster.
Iron Man 1, though, I thought it showed.
It never showed them young. It showed
a picture of them together.
I guess it did show them in that newspaper. Maybe.
I mean, you only really see Stark when Captain America's around, right? So you don't see what he's doing off on his own.
Yeah, maybe Obadiah didn't want to fucking go to Nazi Germany. Like, no, I'll stay back on that one. I'll meet you back at the offices, Howard.
Right there, you know, there's like a sinister partner in the long run, so...
Okay.
That was a foreshadow.
Big foreshadow.
Yeah, they planted
Some
the
real
seed.
Kevin Feige just ripping the numbers, calculating.
Anything else?
Well, there's a Stan Lee cameo. What do you guys think of that?
I think it's all right. I think it's one of the...
It's not that funny, is it?
No, like, I thought he'd be taller.
It's like, well done. Like, that's a good... You know, it works, right?
Mm-hmm. It's a fun line. I think it's just... I think sometimes with these movies, the Stan Lee cameos are two things. It's, man, we got a great idea, we got to do this. Or it's, hey, where could we fit Stan Lee into this movie? I feel like this is one of those, hey, where can we fit Stan Lee? Same way as Homecoming when he's like the grouchy neighbor who's just like, get out of here, kid, like, you whatever. Where like in Guardians, spoilers, like he's a watcher. Or like in Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2 when he's the librarian. Like, those feel like that scene when he's the librarian feels like it was filmed just so they could put that joke in there.
Right.
Where this cameo feels like, hey, we're gonna.
Yeah, sometimes it's just like to get the check mark to have.
Yeah.
Boom! This movie also has your Stan Lee cameo.
Yeah, like it's like one of the things when you sign a contract, like you gotta make sure Stan Lee has a cameo. You
Don't
know?
mess up, Feige, or you're fired.
So kind of the lower tier. Well, when we rank them, I don't know where it's the lowest because I have to look at them all. But
yeah,
it's no. Even then, you may not like Incredible Hulk, but I love the cameo where he drinks the fucking juice, you know, and like he's like, whoa, that is quite a punch, or like that's funny, and he like dies, or he gets poisoned. This is just like, okay, he's like
He's definitely in the lower echelon of Stan Lee cameos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
You don't have an opposing idea?
I definitely think, you know, I feel like Stan Lee, we're gonna give you the opportunity to just say whatever you want for your cameo, and he was just so excited.
Probably, he could be.
And he said, "Oh, I thought he'd be taller."
He was a writer, so you know.
So I feel like that was all him. It definitely felt very much like Stan Lee was just going a little improv in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
So
maybe he just wanted to wear a cool uniform for a day.
Yeah.
So he did.
He already was. He showed up. Like I guess we have to film.
Oh, he's loaded.
Now.
He can have whatever uniform he wants.
Yeah. So my quick notes are just things that stuck out. I actually really like the opening of how it's like the backdrop of obviously it's in present day and they find like his shield frozen and everything like that.
Yeah.
I think it does a good job because it sets the viewers up for if they don't know what's gonna happen, for the sudden like car stop of why is he in the present day in this movie? Because it's talking about those Emily. If you don't get that beginning portion, and even if you still do, I don't know if you didn't know who Captain America was. While you're watching this movie, do you feel like, it's going to end with him in present day? Because it feels super random. Obviously, it's not because it's like, that's the way it happened in the comic books or set for Avengers. But if you just watch this and like, I'm going to go see the newest like action hero movie out, and it's like, it's a movie about World War II, and then it ends with him being present day. I feel like it's very sudden, and it's not really explained. Not even in the movie do they explain, because he has a super soldier serum, he gets suspended animation when he's frozen. Like, it just kind of happens. You're like, I guess he's in the present
it's
day.
weird because in hindsight, it's like, well, obviously they got to bring them together so that he can be present day with the rest of them.
And it's really shoehorned in. It's the beginning and the end. And that's it. They don't talk about it. It's almost like...
I don't remember being shocked by it when I saw it at first.
And I wonder if that's just because it was conditioned that if you had anyone around you saying like, he's going to be an Avenger, so... I wonder if, let's say 75 to 60% of the audience went in this movie knowing at some point he's going to end up in present day, right? And maybe that's why it was less shocking. Because that's the only way I could feel, just at that point, Avengers as a year later, I feel like enough people were starting to catch on of like, okay, these things are come together, he's going to do that. But I feel like if you didn't know, I don't think it will happen because I'm such a nerd, but if I were not to explain to my daughter and then show her that movie without any preference in 5 or 6 years, like, would she be like, why is he there now. You know, like why does him crashing?
You know, she's like Red Skull sucks.
Blonde skill away. But yeah, so I like the opening though of them finding the actual thing. I think it's just a fun little setup.
And I don't know. Like watching the movie too, I kind of forgot that like was at the start of the movie, but then they kind of tied in nicely. Because even like throughout the movie, I was still curious, like what exactly. I forget the connection of how they find him and all that.
Yeah.
Just didn't remember that stuff. So
I
think they bring it together.
Yeah.
Well,
there was a deleted scene in Incredible Hulk, but it's deleted, so. Yeah, it showed.
So I haven't seen it, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it showed. The Hulk tries to kill himself.
Oh,
and he turns into Hulk, so he breaks like an iceberg, and you see like Cap's shield. And that was supposed to be the reasoning why they found it, because there was like a breaking in this ice, and they had to go look at it, and then they find Cap's shield. And yeah,
trail of breadcrumbs. And whatnot.
I have this knowing about talking about it, but I think Tucci did a good job as a scientist. I think.
Yeah, I liked him.
I have in the trivia, he took this role just because he had a German accent, which he always wanted to do. That's why he took the role.
Right.
So cool, and I think he works.
That's a funny idea.
Yeah, like good for like I liked him. He served his role. He wasn't.
Yeah, I like that character.
Yeah,
he's a nice guy.
I would say this, and maybe this is something we can debate when we do our ranking special. But do you feel, out of all the female characters, that Haley Atwell as Peggy Carter's made the best one?
All the female characters. I think Black Widow is good.
Really? But do you think she's better than Peggy Carter?
It's hard to say because she has more. She has more movies.
She does.
And she has like
and her first
various sides to her, whereas I guess I said it briefly, but I don't know, Peggy doesn't really change in this movie. She's kind of the same person at the beginning and the end. Whereas, I don't know, I feel like Black Widow has some more development to her.
Yeah, not in Iron Man 2.
Not in Iron Man 2, no, that's true. But that's just where it starts, okay, man? That's just where it starts.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm biased because I really like Scarlet Witch, but yeah, I think obviously...
Oh, yeah, Scarlet Witch, yeah.
She still hasn't really had enough screen time and development to... I don't know, I think I like Scarlet Witch more than this character, probably.
Yeah. I like the scene where...
Because Peggy Carter doesn't have like a badass, superhero name and...
Agent
powers
Carter.
And stuff. She just snipes people, which is cool.
Yeah.
But magic's cooler than sniping people in the head, I would say.
I guess
Taylor agrees.
I'm more of a personality guy,
Okay.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? I like the joke when he is chasing that Nazi and he throws the kid in the water and he goes to the kid and the kid's just like, I can swim. Go get him. Yeah, I like that.
That's a character from the comic books, you know that, right?
No, it's not.
Rocket Racer.
Oh God, Rocket Racer! Check out our Spider-Man retro. Actually, you can only get that episode on Patreon right now, so check it out. One thing, it was just a weird thing. At one point, they do a zoom in on Red Skull's face. His face is completely fucked up, but his teeth pure white. Like it's kind of funny. They say like he was transformed. So I don't know if they needed to because they're probably like, oh, well, y'all are teeth things. Like I'm done fucking enough of this makeup. Like we're not doing it anymore. But I just always found that funny. Yeah, I don't know. I had this in, but I liked the mini interrogation scene with Tommy Jones and Zola with just the food, and he won't eat it because he thinks it's poison. So Tommy Jones just pulls and starts eating it. And he's just giving this thing of just like,
I thought he didn't eat it because he doesn't eat meat.
Is that what he said?
He doesn't eat
That's
meat.
what he says.
Oh, okay.
But it probably was because
I think because he was worried it was gonna they were gonna kill him, and I just like that.
Because there was also broccoli on the plate, and he didn't eat the broccoli. Like, what a piece of shit. That's healthy. You eat that broccoli.
And I just like how he just lays it out. He's just like, well, Captain America's really mad at you because you killed one of his best buddies. America's really mad at you, and like Schmidt's gonna kill you because you're just a scapegoat. So he just lays out like your only option is to work with us or you're gonna die, and it's a fun little scene, and it does set up.
It really sets up the solo movie, I would say.
Yeah, well, it does set up that, but it does set up Winter Soldier where he is working for S.H.I.E.L.D. and he is like a Hydra agent, and that's the reason why he gets in there and like Winter Soldier and has all like that's why S.H.I.E.L.D. is corrupted because he has a big part to do with it. So it's a good setup. Another thing that I think that was a setup for the future, and that does show that Marvel is that talented, but at the same time in this movie feels like a throwaway thing. So I think it's also when we're talking about Bucky and Steve, where when you watch it now, I like it better. But in the moment, if I watch that Zola thing, be like, well, that didn't go anywhere, right? But it did go somewhere in the future because he led to like kind of the corruption of S.H.I.E.L.D. So you see the little breadcrumbs there when you watch them, and it does feel
there's breadcrumbs, yes.
Yeah, and it's great. It feels very much like a story. It feels very much like Lord of the Rings books, but then if you haven't read them, the movies, where it's just like everything that does happen may come back eventually, and that's great. Yeah,
that is great. One thing I saw in the IMDb, because there's a lot of trivia for this movie,
I have
man.
3 trivia notes from that as
Is
well.
one of
There
them-
was a lot that were just like a lot of just random stuff.
There was apparently there's like an Easter egg for Human Torch somewhere in this movie.
The original Human Torch, he's in a glass case as caution. The original Human Torch was just like
What segment of the movie?
Stark Expo.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't notice it in the movie, but
Edgar Wright, who did Shaun of the Dead, and he did Baby Driver this year, you know, who did not...
reinventing cinema as we know it, combining the soundtrack with shots.
Yeah.
Whoa.
No one's
Wild.
ever done it. Tarantino, nobody.
No one. Tarantino, nerd.
Edgar Wright had been rumored to have secretly rewritten the film, but he publicly has denied this. Wright would soon write his own Marvel Studios film Ant-Man, but left the film before finish, which we'll discuss when we get to Ant-Man, because that was a very controversial thing. Chris Evans declined the role 3 times before accepting the part. Not out of
Must
just
be
like
nice.
not out of
People
yeah.
knocking at your door. Hey, you want to Captain America make $300 million? Yeah, sure. I'll do it.
300,000 he made.
Yeah,
maybe he's made 300.
That's the same thing because he used it for he invested it and now he's at like 300 million.
He declined it not just like for the role, but because he feared what the effects of the sudden increase of fame would be to his private life. Then Robert Downey Jr. convinced him to take the part and thus gain the freedom to sign on to any other roles he'd want to do afterwards. After that, he had a meeting with director and producers who convinced him to take the role, and he is Captain America. Which that
he
to me,
is Captain America.
That's one thing. Like I will, knowing as to see these group chats, but I fight Liam on a lot about how important Downey is to not just MCU but Hollywood in general, because he and Feige to me have really reinvented Hollywood for a while. Like we talk about this all the time. Ghostbusters, The Mummy, DCU, all these people trying to do cinematic universes, right? Mm-hmm. Yes, people, and that's Liam's argument, is like, oh, he's just the actor, he's just the figurehead. But to me, that's one of the biggest things because he's like the poster child for this universe. Yeah. And like the thing was, that was the rumor, and it's true that all the people that were up for Spider-Man had to audition next to Downey, and then funny enough to Chris Evans. But it's like, even going back to Cap, which he'd only done 2 Iron Man movies, still was this like, okay, maybe they were just friends, but it feels kind of weird that so many times he pops up in these stories like, oh, and then Robert Downey talked to him, or Robert Downey did this, or he recommended this person, or this director, like in Iron Man 3.
Maybe he has an actual Iron Man suit and he's flying all their houses and saying, hey,
threatening Feige's life.
How you doing, Chris Evans? I think you should take the role.
And it just shows, I think, that Robert Downey has like tons of pull in the MCU, and that's why my prediction still is, it's a spoiler, but I don't think they will kill him. I think they're going to keep him around because he is that poster child. He's the guy. I think they keep him until he's Harrison Ford. They keep him until he's 60 or 70, and then they kill him off. This can be a long list of people. I remember this was running rapid because this is when I was, big nerd on the internet.
Hitting up those IMDb.
Yeah, the rumors of who was going to be Captain America. I want Aaron Eckhart, who Aaron Eckhart was the guy who played Two-Face in The Dark Knight.
Okay.
Because I always envisioned my Captain America a little older. I always liked older Captain America, but I get why they went young Bulk and everything like that. So
young Bulk.
But I'm gonna lay out a lot of names for you of who were auditioned or talked about. Sam Worthington from Avatar and Will Smith were 2 of the top contenders. Will Smith, I remember, was a huge one.
Captain America.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. He was rumored quite a bit. Later on, Garrett Hedlund, Channing Tatum, Scott Porter, Mike Vogel. I'm going list long because there's a lot of them. Sebastian Stan, who played Bucky, Chris Evans, Wilson Benthel, John Krasinski, Chad Michael Murray, Michael Cassidy, Chase Crawford, Derek Fiedler, and Jesse Eichels from Supernatural. A lot of those people I actually don't know. They were probably people that were really big around that time in like the late 2000s. The 3 that I remember that were Will Smith, Chris Evans, I guess 4, Chad Michael Murray, and John Krasinski, and that's why I ended up being fine with Chris Evans, because Will Smith was gone. I did not want John Krasinski from The Office to be fucking Captain America at all. And Chad Michael Murray, he's from, I think, One Tree Hill or something like that. So I remember when Evans got cast, I wasn't the biggest fan, but it was like, well, he's the best of the bunch. But I remember, like, you look at this list, there's not a lot of people that are big stars now, really. Channing Tatum's
pretty big now.
And John Krasinski is bigger now. Ryan Phillippe, Alexander Skarsgård, but like not a lot of big names. Even Sam Worthington, who's coming after Avatar, like that's kind of all he's done, So it's funny that they were really looking at people that I don't think.
What do you think of Channing Tatum? Do you think he could have done it?
I think
because I think Channing Tatum has the ability. Obviously, he's a really funny guy, and that's kind of where I think he taught most of his acting movies. But I think he's like a really good serious actor as well.
I think he is.
I almost think he's a bit too broy or funny, maybe.
I think that's it. I don't see him doing the
at the time, at least. I think he definitely would have been in that category.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think it's different.
I think he could end up doing the good old boy cheesy version, which I said that it goes bad. I think if he does ever end up playing Gambit, I think that's the right role for him. I think he's he gets to be a bit more of like cooler. Where Captain America, I think he's cool in the way he saves people in his action, but I don't think Captain America is a cool character.
I'm trying to picture Channing Tatum's head on skinny Steve, and it just, I just picture a bobblehead. It doesn't work.
Taylor, you were shaking your head rigorously.
I don't need him to be Captain America.
Don't need him.
To be honest.
But do you want him?
No.
We don't need anybody to be Captain America, really.
Let's just say, regardless of what you want or need, if that were the case, if he were Captain America, do you think he could have done it?
No. I feel like he just want to break out into dance or something like that. I don't.
Dance? Because he did one fucking dance movie? Well, I guess he's done a few.
He's done a few.
Again, he was a professional dancer. Damn it, Taylor!
Have you seen Hateful Eight or Logan Lucky or something? Like a more recent Channing Tatum role when he's not just all jokes?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
I did see Hateful Eight, but I can't. I have a blockage of him in that movie.
Did you see him in G.I. Joe?
Oh yeah, I did.
Great.
No,
they saw that and they're like, no, we can't do it.
I feel like, to compare him into like a role that would be close to Captain America, it would be G.I. Joe, and I didn't like him in that.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
So, I don't know, just, it would be weird too, cause like, we have a Channing Tatum who's playing Captain America. The new Captain America just came out, but also here's your Captain America on stage in Magic Mike or whatever. It just be kind of weird.
I don't think he. Have you ever heard of something called the butterfly effect?
What do you mean?
I think if he would have done that, there's certain movies that wouldn't happen anymore. So it's like
that's a pretty big contract to sign on to be Captain America.
Yeah, like I don't.
Like, what else has Chris Evans done in the last few years? He's done a lot of Captain America.
Yeah, like,
I don't know what else he's done.
That's what I'm saying. Like
he wasn't in Logan Lucky.
That's
sure.
part of the reason why the rumor was that Ryan Reynolds, fuck off.
Fuck off, Ryan Reynolds.
No.
Come on the podcast, please.
That's part of the reason why Ryan Gosling turned down the Joker in Suicide Squad was because they wanted him to sign a multi-contract. So I think that's the thing where if you are in these movies, and even then, look at Evans, like there was part of that, like he didn't want the fame, and I do think it's that thing of like once you do this, that's what you're doing. And I remember after Avengers, he did say there was a big like kerfuffle about it. He did say that he didn't think he was going to do it too much longer. Captain America, and then he pulled That's Why I'm On With You Weaving, and then a few years later he's like, oh no, I love being Captain America, it's great, because they're probably like, hey, you should shut up or they're gonna kill you off and you're gonna lose a big paycheck. So like I do think it does limit people. So I think if Channing Tatum was that, you might not see Imagine Mike. You probably don't see a 21 Jump Street with Channing Tatum because like, oh, I'm filming Avengers, right?
Chris
like,
Evans instead.
that would be great. No, actually, I don't think Chris Evans would be good in that. I really don't. I would love to see Chris Evans. The two people I'd love to see Chris Evans, and I'm biased, but I really want Michael Fassbender being one of the Seth Rogen crew movies.
The two of them?
Yeah, together. They could do Pineapple Express 2, and they're like the bad drug dealers that go up against Seth Rogen and James Franco.
Wow.
Make it.
We'll read the script if you pay us.
I'll buy it for free.
Really?
Yeah.
I agree with you on that. I think Michael Fassbender definitely has the kind of personality that would probably sync well with James Franco, Seth Rogen.
But maybe we should save that for another time and get to
the Michael Fassbender fan cast. That's coming next week.
Oh, I'd love to start it. One day I will start a Michael Fassbender podcast, and you're going to play this clip at the beginning of the podcast, and we're going to review his entire filmography.
That's wild.
Do we have anything to add before we give our final thoughts and a rating if you choose to?
What do you guys think of the soundtrack?
It very generic. You get the Captain America theme, which they use. That like no, that's X-Men. Fuck, I can't do it. But it's
pretty generic.
Yeah, but he has like American kind of like chimes or something like that. They use in Civil War. They use in Winter Soldier.
Star Spangled.
Yeah, something like that. That's good. But the rest is just kind of like okay, action, whatever. It's the same. That's why I hate to say it. It's my final thoughts, but that's why I love Wonder Woman. To me, Wonder Woman is like the great version of this movie where it's like, oh, the score stands out, this stands out. Other than her fucking buddies, I feel like that movie does everything better than this movie does. As I said, it's decent to good. Nothing's like, other than a few, Carter and Chris Evans, nothing's really great in this movie. So
okay.
And that's why I'll give it 6.8 out of 7.
Sneaky 6.8.
I never, if you look back, other than jokey stuff, like when I'm failing movies, I usually never give something a point something. I don't think it's good enough to be a 7, but I don't think it's bad enough to be a 6.5 because 6.5 is like Iron Man 2 level. So I'm going to go with 6.8. You know, like I think it's cool.
You can do that.
Yeah, like I just can't, I don't think it's a 7 for me. I think it's just below it. Generic film, which it shouldn't be because they have a great villain. Great acting or good acting for the most part. Everyone delivers there. But yeah, generic score. Action's all right. One thing I forgot to show, I'm really disappointed. Early Marvel does this a lot. Another final fight scene that's very boring. Cap chases Red Skull around, and they throw each other a bit, and then Red Skull touches the cube, and then he's just fucking gone. And I feel like if you're not into the comic book geeky stuff, I feel like that's this type of stuff that would turn you off from comic movies. Like, oh, he just got sucked up into like space, like, especially because nothing's ever happened from that. It feels even more pointless now. They should have just fucking exploded him then, you know?
It is awful.
I'm happy they didn't do it because hopefully he can come back and they can redeem him, but everything about the movie I think is good. I think it's an enjoyable watch. There's some fun stuff. Chris Evans does a great job. I agree with Dylan at the beginning of the cast, where I think the beginning half is better because it's much more character work and you're seeing him go through the stuff from the training to the surgery to getting into war. And I feel like it's almost when we get that war montage, we get into that love, like, oh, they're fighting, and like, oh, Red Skull's just going around yelling and killing his own guys. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just very generic, like, stuff, you know, just stuff. And it's fine because it's shot well. There's some fun action. Chris Evans on the... Oh my god, Chris Evans on the bike.
The roof's falling apart there.
Wow.
Am I right?
But yeah, 6.8 out of 10. Still a good watch, but one of my lower two in the MCU.
Mr. T.
Oh,
T-Man.
T-Man.
Hail
Yes.
T-Man.
So my Google Home calls me.
Does it actually?
I made it call me T-Man and Dark Lord of the Sith.
That's cool.
It's very cool. So I think I'm gonna go with like 7.9 shields on this.
7.9. We got the point. Why did it not become an 8?
Because I definitely like Captain America in the present day.
Me too. I like him better in the present day.
That's why I like Winter Soldier. But I mean, I get why it was like in the past because it's like it was introduction purposes and stuff like that. So I mean, it's just it can't be helped. It's unfortunate, but it's just a point under being an 8, unfortunately. So sorry, Marvel, but
I do like though how for some reason this like facility at the end of the movie where they're keeping Captain America is just in the fucking middle New York, and he just runs out in Times Square. It's right there. It's like,
yeah, they really didn't consider that he would like potentially want to leave this situation.
They just wanted the shot.
They're like, oh, we're smart, we're gonna get him.
Well, no, they just want, in real life, obviously, they just want that shot of him looking around Times Square, seeing all the billboards, right? Because if he just runs out to a base and it's like green grass, it's like, oh, he can't tell if it's present day. So,
yeah.
But it makes no sense whatsoever why they have. That's so dangerous. Like, if they're keeping other people like him there, like, does that mean fucking
That's where Zolo is. That's why Zolo's
yeah. Like, how many people are they keeping at Times Square? Like, ridiculous. Like, that, it's...
Not smart.
Yeah.
Not
Nick Fury's great in this movie.
Oh, yeah. Best character.
Yeah.
Really wild development.
I think the movie was just... It was quite a ride, and I think it was... it had a lot of its moments like
lot of moments. Like so the red dress.
The red dress, Peggy, that bad secretary girl. Like there was just lots of moments with this movie.
Bad girl.
I feel like I like where Captain America has come from having like morals to being cocky and moralist.
He's never moralist. We pointed you out every turn why you're wrong about that. That's not even an opinion. Like that is, you are just making up. Stop.
He's just saying it to trigger you now.
Come on. Yeah.
But yeah, I think the villain. It sucks that he died that way. I hope that he comes back because I'm sure he's
drinking this water anymore?
No, I had my chocolate milk. I'm sure he's on like Nowhere or something because that'd be a cool way to write him back in as not aging or anything. But I mean, that can be like a special half-an-hour clip at like the end of Captain America 4 or something.
Special half an hour. You mean like a post-credit scene? People would be so pissed. They just watch like a 2.5 hour long movie and there's like a half-an-hour clip.
I wouldn't. That'd be great.
People would. A lot of people would.
Yeah. They're not gonna stay.
They can leave.
I definitely think that. I think this was the first movie too. Like at the end of it, after it was like trying to get you back in the world, and it's like no, trying to save it. And then it showed the trailer for Avengers.
Yeah, they didn't really have...
they big dropped that trailer.
Yeah.
I was not ready for that. I was ready to go, have a snack, and boom! I'm watching Avengers now, baby!
Well, it is so funny in watching Retrospect, they still haven't changed it to saying May 2012, you know? It's just still this... It's weird seeing it, but like, it was... I think that was a cool end credit to have at the time when, hey, Avengers is a year away, drop this. And it was cool just seeing, like, that was the first time you saw, like, just that scene of Downey saying, "Oh, good throwing arm," and the shoots. It's like that was like the "it's happening, we're a year away." So I think that's a good idea. I think they should never do it again. Like I'd be pissed at the end of Black Panther. It's like, oh, a teaser for Infinity War. It's like we got the trailer. Like we know what's happening. But I think this was like smart, and they use that scene in Avengers too, like with him the punching bag, which I can't wait. We're reviewing Avengers after this one. That's gonna be fun.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That's next.
That's gonna be highly exciting. Highly exciting. As for myself, yeah, I think sometimes going back and watching origin stories can seem like a slog, or you just waiting to get past the origin stuff and you can get into the actual movie. But this movie doesn't feel that way. I think it's fun watching these characters, even though Bucky might not be the greatest. I still had fun watching him on screen, and Tommy Lee Jones, like his character doesn't really have anything to him, but I still like seeing him on screen. And then obviously Peggy and Chris Evans, I think I just one character name, one actor name. Take that, world. It's fun watching those two characters and their development and the progression throughout the story. As for, so this movie's not perfect, obviously. The villain kind of sucks.
Kind of sucks.
Kind of sucks big time.
Kind of sucks big time.
Kind of sucks big
degrading him.
He's no Malekith, but he's getting it. The soundtrack, I didn't mention it, but that's because there's nothing really to mention. It's highly generic and pretty boring.
Yeah.
That's not my dog barking, if you're wondering.
It's Red Skull.
It's Red Skull. Wow. So yeah, this movie to me, I'm happy with it. It's fun, but I don't really foresee myself watching this again in the near future. And I think when we get down to it, like the rankings, when we watch all these, like this will probably be quite low. Not because it's bad, just because it's like there's nothing. Ones. Yeah, there's a lot of things better, and there's nothing like too special. And I mean, I've talked about this before on the cast, but like war movies it's not really my genre. Dunkirk is kind of like, okay, it doesn't matter because this movie's so good, but generally not like a genre I'm that interested in. So there's even like that, just a little bit of disinterest in like the setting in general, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, this was still fun, and yeah, I'm really excited for Avengers now. And I think this is all you need for Captain America going into the team up movie in Avengers. I think this is a perfect place to start a character, take him on like an adventure, give him a lot of development, and then you can drop him into the Avengers. I think it's a good setup.
Well, I think it pays off too, because in Avengers he's supposed to be this like almost godly figure, not in the sense of Thor, but in the sense of he has this legacy that everyone knows who Captain America is, right? So without this movie, it wouldn't be the same. Where sometimes they do that in comics or animated movies, where it's just like they find him in the ice and this is him and he has this whole backstory. I think it is a movie that I won't say it's safe, but it feels like that at times. But I think it's like a necessary movie to do, because then once you see it, it's like, okay, I know who this guy is.
Right.
So, yeah.
You know who this guy is.
I know he is. Taylor, they know who we are, but do they know where they can find all our great content?
If they don't, where would they go?
Well, once you get sucked up into your Tesseract, you can find us with your internet connection too. That's very important. With your Zolo algorithm, you could say. You could
say that if you want.
You could check us out in the search bar, and in that search bar, on Google or whatever, there's other search engines, but I use Google because Google's great. But in there, you gotta type in your Facebook, because Facebook is a great social media. And on there, you go in that search bar and you type in Geek vs. Space Podcast. You gotta type the space bar, don't type in the word space, because that's weird. And then when you get there, you're gonna find our picture, and you're gonna find all this awesome stuff. Our picture, you're gonna find some
fondue,
some red dress.
Taylor in a red dress fondue.
So there's lots of fun and mysterious stuff on there.
Oh, wow. Well, you can go.
There's a lot of mystery. I think we like to tell our viewers, like, this is called the Captain America Retrospective. Like, you know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, we're not just.
We mostly talk about that.
We're not just reviewing an episode of Chips or something like that. Chips. So go to geekverspodcast.com. Go to Patreon, where you can subscribe. Give us $1 for half our content. Gives us $5 for everything. Where you could get. You could be watching this so long ago, You can watch this like 70 years ago almost. Yeah, it's crazy. We're actually not releasing this for another 70 years. So we're like Red Skull. We haven't aged. Just time or we were frozen in ice. But go there. You can get the Marvel Retrospective. You can get Gauntlet matches early. You can get other spin-off shows. Let's see. I'm trying to think. We have so many spin-off shows. It's quite a bit. We have a lot of spin-off shows. And that's why you should subscribe to iTunes or YouTube or SoundCloud, because you can get all those spin-off shows for free if you want them. Thank you very much for watching this episode. Next time will be Avengers. It will be. And have a marvelous day. And we'll see you in the post-credit scene. You forgot that part, didn't you? I did. I thought it was, what was it, day or time? I say we never really decided on that. It's like time of day. Whatever. Maybe I could say time of day. Fuck you, Joe. You want to try that? Or...
excuse me, that is chili. Made by some poor laborer working at Tim Hortons.
Why are they gonna be poor?
Aren't they working so that they have money?
Yeah. At least they got a job.
Some people aren't so lucky. Such as poor people.
Don't you have lunch, like, at work?
No. Yeah, when I'm really hungry.
Okay. Oh, boy. This bag better not be loud either, these bags.
That bag, you mean?
That bag.
Good thing there's nothing in there.
It's a good thing we're not recording a podcast. Yeah. And what else do you have?
I'll get it all ready here, okay.
It's an odd meal. A muffin as well, hey? Muffin with chili and bread.
That is a gross meal. And chocolate milk, too, to top it all off.
It's not a drink to wash down chili with. No.
See, that bag sounds loud already.
Don't worry. You won't even hear me.
We're good. Oh, I swear, if I get one fucking pod bay review, like,
where's my chili?
only DC haters eat chili.
Subscribe on Patreon and you get one free bowl of chili.
And then also in February, the date's gonna be flashing up because I don't know when it's happening at the time of this recording. But Taylor Field, you are taking on my Wolf brother, and you're taking on Tyler Briggs to get hopefully your title back. How do you feel about that coming up?
This is the first time I've heard of this.
Oh my god.
Have I heard of it before?
Probably various times.
Oh yeah, you know
we
what?
probably had conversations.
This is also in February.
It just slipped my mind. I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. Yeah. Oh, you know what? They get my title back?
No, we're not doing this. This is going in the 2018 fucking bloopers already.
We already have our first one, and it's not even 2018.
I was trying to be sly about it because this cast is coming out in February. I'm like, oh, Taylor will just pick up the ball. And I said, oh, big match coming up.
He's distracted by this pungent scent of that chili.
Anyways.
Cruising down his throat.
God damn. Are you gonna go? I swear, if you choke and die.
I won't. It's chili.
You want to try that again?
Yeah.
What do you mean it's chili? Has no one ever died on chili? Do you have the fact confirmed somewhere? I don't think anyone can confirm that.
Anyways, I'll do it again this time.